Welcome once again to the newest edition of 3 In, 3 Out, the most unique Seahawks recap show in the multiverse. I'm your host, Clinton Bonner, and today I am riding Han Solo. You know why? Because Brandon deserves a family vacation, people. He's had a great little run here. He went up to Minnesota to go watch his brother get married. They took the family down to Florida. Why not? You're halfway across the country. Just keep on driving, Wayne. So he's enjoying that. So I'll be driving Han Solo today. Hope you don't mind. Hey, guys, I miss him too. You know, it's the 3 In, 3 Out supposed to be a volley. So today I'm gonna have to look in the mirror, look at the man in the mirror, and volley it to myself. Which sometimes you got to do what you got to do. The show must go on. And for our Seahawks, I must tell you, folks, I hope the listeners, I hope most of you have the ability to go back and rewatch the games. I know it could cost a few shekels. NFL Plus is a nice way to do that if you're in the States. And of course, the game day or whatever it might still be overseas. I don't really know. But there's different ways to do it. And I realize not everybody has access to it. And I'm grateful I do, because this Seahawks game was a really, really fun one to go back and rewatch. A lot more satisfying than it actually was. It was like more frustrating the first time through, and then way more satisfying the second time through. So I hope y'all can do that as well. Quick reminder that, hey, if you're enjoying all the content on Seahawkers podcast, well, there's lots of ways that you could help out. Number one, go to shp.show if you want to get any of the audio, or just go to any of your platforms and go search the Seahawkers podcast. It'll come up right away. Even put it into YouTube, it will come up as, straight away. Even if you put Seahawks podcast in there, heck, the Seahawkers podcast is page 1, usually choice 1. And there's a reason for that, because the content's darn good. The other stuff, of course, too, is YouTube. We're really trying to grow the YouTube account. We're doing lots of lives. We're doing Adam's little vignettes as well, as you know, which are wonderful. And that's youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Go out there, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we're going live, so you get notified. But of course, drop the comments. Hey, even if you got some things to say that you don't like, it's all right. Comments are cool. They generate conversation. We're all big boys and big girls here. We could take it, but hit the likes, hit the subscribes, and finally share it. Share the Hawkra, right? Share the Hawkra with your fellow 12s, because if 2 12s tell 2 12s, I can't do the math from there, folks. I'm kind of a simpleton that way, but I know the Hawkra will continue to grow. Hey, we're coming in hot with this awesome W versus the Cardinals. Then I'm recording this Tuesday morning. I got to watch I don't want to call it awesome, but awesome results of the Broncos Let's Ride curse continuing to happen. The muff punt in overtime. I was going to say San Diego, the LA Superchargers there, they get the W. The Broncos go to 2-4. We go to 3-3. So let's check out, how did we get to this 3-3 on 3 In, 3 Out? I think you all know there is only one rule. I usually can't remember it, but when I'm driving solo, I write it down in a little scrap of paper so I don't forget. And that one rule is, of course, that when we win, how do I go and botch that? How do I botch that? You know what? That's staying. I'm not even going to edit that out. You're going to see it. When we win, we start with it in. So let's get to that first in. Let's go. Starting with it in, and I botched the opening. Shame on me. Shame on me. All right. But not shame on our Seahawks. There was a lot of good to like here. Somewhat uneven, somewhat crunchy, but a lot to like. Things we're not going to talk about, but I think are worthy of recognition. I'm not going to talk about Kenneth Walker's prowess back there as a running back. Dude looks shifty as heck. Lovely. Hey, Kobe Bryant, he played his best game coverage-wise. Another peanut punch. Kobe was the man. I'm really enjoying the way they use the fans. People are kind of getting on Noah Fant. He's not that explosive. He's not this. He's not that. I don't know, man. I just see the dude moving the chain. I see the dude open on crossers, catching basically everything thrown his way and moving the chain. So I'm enjoying watching some fans. And one other, we're not going to get into the Pooooooona and the Q-Jeff and the Nwosu and even the Shelby Harris. That front line looked amazing. And I think it comes down to scheme. We've been talking about this for a few weeks now. They're scheming differently. And then you hear the players talk about it. You hear the X's and O's guys say, hey, this 3-4, lining dudes up, like right on the nose, not lining them up in the gap, asking them to react as opposed to get upfield to be proactive, doesn't fit the body types that we have on this team. So you got plenty of X's and O's types talking about that. If you got your peepers out, you hear it. This week, it went to more of a scheme where it was like attack, just go at the ball right on the jump and beat them with quickness. I think we saw a lot of that. So I do think The scheme is starting to rotate back over to what the Seahawks personnel does very, very well. I think that bodes really nicely for our Seahawks. All right, enough about the preamble. It's time for our first in. There were quite a bit. Y'all know I love me some Bob Ross. Yes, the famous Afro painter. He'd wet the canvas with the liquid white and prep it so that the other colors could jump out later and kind of stick to it and grab to it. So I've got to wet the canvas for y'all. And again, if you can go back and rewatch these plays, if you have access, I encourage you to. I think it will enhance the experience. All right, quarter one. It is 11 minutes in. It is 2nd and goal, and the Cardinals are just outside R1. I am still, to this day, with this team, I'm still going to be team never defer until I see better first drives from our defense. I don't love the idea of kicking off and letting the team absorb 4 to 5 minutes and put points on the board. Now, the lucky part, or maybe not so lucky, the skilled part was they only got 3. So let's kind of dissect why it was not a touchdown. And no, it's not Kyler Murray's fault in this particular occasion. It's because we did something really, really good. Kyler is in shotgun just outside the 1 yard line, and they have a read option going with Eno Benjamin. Eno goes to his right, and Kyler keeps it. The beautiful part of this play, there's a couple, but I really want to, circle takes a square and give this to Boye Mafe. Mafe does a wonderful job. First of all, he shoots through the gap. We talked about that scheme, like not reacting, not sitting back and waiting and reacting, but off the ball going, right? Shoots through the gap, kind of untouched, does a little bit of an ole on, I think, the right tackle who's trying to reach out to him. Maybe it was the tight end, and he's through. Now what happens is he has to engage Eno. Eno tries to engage him. Still with that, he keeps contained the entire time. Eno tries to turn him a little bit, just tries to blow him off the ball. Mafe's having none of that. Mafe stands him up. It gives time for Mike Jackson to give him support on the left-hand side. And if you go back and watch, there's also another dude who factors into this play. And I think that was Miles Adams breaking through up the middle. So all of a sudden, Kyler had nowhere to go. So Kyler tries to string it out, and then it's just speed. Mafe and Jackson chase him all the way out. Now, here's where Kyler, I don't get why you just don't float the ball to the back, outside the end zone and not lose 4 yards. But Kyler's going to do some Kyler things. He keeps the ball and goes out the 5 yard line. This is a lovely play by Mafe. So again, takes on the block, shoots through the gap, stands up Eno Benjamin, wins that battle, keeps contained, keeps him going to the sidelines, and then speed demons to the outside. So he plus Mike Jackson equals Kyler has no shot. And they get into 3rd and 4. Then it's a really bad pass. I don't even know what Kyler is doing, and they got to settle for 3. So though I am team never defer right now with this team, for the reasons I stated earlier, if you could do what they did, which is, they could just bend but don't break, and then you only give up 3, that's a win in the NFL, especially on drive number 1 when you're getting the ball back to start the second half. So that first that is going to go to Boye Mafe. He's playing really crisp and very, very sound defensive end. And it's kind of lovely to see, because why it's so lovely too, very quickly, is we get where the love is going, right? The love is going to Tariq Woolen, deservedly so, right? The love is going to Kobe Bryant. All those turnovers forced, and now playing really good slot. I get it. The love's going to K9. The love's going to the 2 tackles. Kind of the man forgotten in this draft class, that's insane, by the way. That's 5 starters. 5. The man forgotten is kind of Boye Mafe, and he's playing really, really well. So I'm super happy to give that man his flowers, not his Trey Flowers. Happy to give him his flowers and the first in with this delicious 19-9 victory over the Redbirds. All right, let us hop on over to an out. This was the kind of game that 3 in, 3 out was supposed to be about, right? It is the nooks, it is the crannies, it's the nuances. It's not the big 3rd and 1 breaks where Taysom Hill goes for 60 friggin' yards and we have to talk about it, though we don't want to talk about it on 3 in, 3 out. This game was far more nuanced, far more in the trenches. And again, for me, really a really, really fun rewatch, even though the first view was a little frustrating. But you go back and rewatch, like, ooh, we actually were pretty damn sound all game. However, we are on the outside of the ledger. So let's look at this one. It is 3-3. It is 13:43 to go in quarter 2, and we have the ball on our own 29 yard line. It's 3rd and 1. Okay, so some of these early on, I was really hoping on some of these short 3rd and 1s and short conversion opportunities that I understand the want to establish the run. I get it. I understand that. I usually champion it too. In this particular case, I'm just sitting there going, man, like, hey, Gino's starting to percolate. Not the best start, but he's starting to show a little flow here. Why don't we pull this thing down, get him outside, boot this thing, get it to one of our 3 tight ends for an easy conversion, something like that. We don't do that. I could forgive that. It's not on the play call. It's just a run. It's a run to Walker, tight formation, 2 tight ends right. But the whole thing is that the whole offensive line kind of fails here and fails pretty badly. D-Lou, he gets beat from Jump Street. I don't want to focus on that one. I'm actually going to give the out to Abe Lucas on this one. Now, this might be the most unfair out in the history of outs because it's not that Lucas gets beat, and it's not because Lucas and Cross kind of had a men's day there, like, I see, not so hot, not so cold. It's because he's going against JJ Watt. JJ Watt is still quite effective. Say what you will about him, he's obviously not in his glory days anymore here with the Cardinals, and they very much overpaid for an aging JJ Watt. That's their problem. With that, JJ Watt bests Lucas here really, really badly. He just shoots inside. Lucas doesn't. He just gets blown away with quickness. And that's the part for me. I'm like, I understand that JJ Watt is like super, super cerebral and understands the game like few others ever have. Watching Lucas kind of get beat with speed. It wasn't just this play. This is the one we're going to focus on. But Lucas got beat with speed in this game to the inside. And then later he got beat with speed to the outside. And that's not really what the college tape was all about. The college tape was the kind of the power plus speed would sometimes beat Lucas. And in the early season, he's been really good. He's been getting more praise than Cross has. So just want to bring this back to the idea that, what ends up happening is Watt meets K9 2 yards deep in the backfield. It's a blown up play. He has nowhere to go. Lewis is beat. Abe Lucas is beat, and I think we're punting the ball away, or we have to punt. We're in our own zone at that point. It's okay to bring the 2 rookie tackles back down to earth a little bit. What was surprising was that it was this team to do it. So there's no panic button. There's no worry button. We're 6 weeks in, and our 2 tackles have been at least B to B plus players, like really good starting NFL tackles. So, don't come at me with the, how could you do that? It's about the micro moments. It's about the fact that Lucas got beat with speed a couple times, and this one was glaring. So he's got to wear the scarlet O. It's okay. Let's get back to another in. All right, Flock, we talked about the trenches. This game was 1-1 because we didn't lose. This game was 1-1 in the trenches. I don't think there was a play that symbolized our trench warfare winningness, if you will, more than this one. So quarter 2, you got to love this number, 12-12 to go in quarter 2. It's a 3-3 ball game, 2nd and 7. Arizona's got the ball on their own 27-yard line. Once again, we got Kyler in shotgun. You got Eno sitting to his right. And then this is the play, if you recall. On the snap, Brian Mone makes the center. His name is Sean Harlow, number 64 in your scorebook there. Mone makes Harlow look like an inanimate sled. It's pretty magical to go watch this play and watch it over and over and over again. On the snap, first of all, Mone times it, chef's kiss beautifully. He's a hair away from being offsides. That's how on the snap he is. And he moves Harlow back, who's, none of these players are small players. Yes, they don't have their starting center who has been all world, at other times of his career, whatever. That's the NFL. He puts Harlow back into, Kyler and, Benjamin's lap about 6-7 yards deep. It's astounding how quickly and what kind of force he can move him back. So much so that Benjamin trips on Harlow's leg. It's a big, 2nd down loss. And then on 3rd and 10, the nice part about these, man, is like you get that momentum builder. Anybody who says momentum's not real in sports, I don't I don't think you've ever played a sport in your life. The next play is that 3rd and 10 where Nwosu gets a sack and they got to punt the ball back in a 3-3 tight ball game. So Mone, this is a huge in. Watching him just terrorize the center, put the dude back 7 yards off of the snap. You can't do it much better. I love me some trench warfare in football. That's the second in, folks. Love it. We're back on the outside of the ledger here. Anyone who's brand new to the format, it is 3 of the best micro moments we saw in the game. We call that the in, 3 of kind of the worst or the ones that were the most worrisome moments of the game, or a play or a player of the game that, again, is not the star-studded player and not the play that the pundits are talking about or that you're going to see in the highlights. So it's the smaller things we want to unearth here on 3 in 3 out. So with that, it is 9-3 at this point. Quarter 3, 14:24 to go. So early quarter 3. It's a 2nd and 3 from Seattle's got the ball on the 31-yard line. Okay. Again, it's 9-3 at this point. Geno's now in shotgun, and we got K9, Ken Walker the third, directly behind him, like 1.5 yards behind Geno in shotgun. This is the one where in this particular play, it really looks like Ken Walker, I'm not sure he goes the wrong way so much. I think he's supposed to get the ball. Like Geno turns around, at the very least, it's supposed to be a read option or some sort, right? An RPO, whatever. But Geno turns around and kind of like puts the ball in Walker's belly. Walker is not ready to receive the ball, so immediately I'm like, ooh, and you can tell by Geno's reaction, he doesn't like just, smoothly drop back. He goes into, oh boy, oh boy, because he's in shotgun. He's now 6, 7, 8 yards back. And they're at a point in the field where they need to convert, and still a tight game at 9-3. What happens next is Cross gets beat badly to the inside, but I think it's kind of on purpose. So this is not on Cross. What I saw was the guy, it certainly jumps inside a Cross, and Cross gives him a shove. To me, in my brain, rewatching that with the compilation of Geno looks like he wants to hand the ball off to Walker. Cross, the guy is allowed to kind of enter inside, and Cross just shoves him to the middle. What it looked like to me was Walker was supposed to get the ball with kind of a one-on-one matchup on the outside. And maybe they're kicking a block or whatever they're doing with the corner that's sitting there. I'll take my chances with Walker on a dude and see if he can make a miss. It results in a bad sack. Actually, no, sorry, it's not a sack. Geno ends up scrambling and gets hit while he throws. It takes a pretty bad hit, in fact. So it's a blown play. The out I'm going to give to Walker. In the sense is, listen, I love what I saw from Walker. I think we all loved not just the touchdown, but the toughness, his lateral movement inside tight spaces. It's special, right? So this is not any knock on what Walker can be for our team or what he did in this game. This is a bit of a, hey, rookie, we got to clean this up a little bit because you're the man now, right? That's it. Like, there wasn't a lot of DJ Dallas. DJ played a decent amount of snaps, but the touches and the high value touches and even 3rd down situations where they let Walker just go do his best so he can go learn on the job. Walker is the man. So he's got to clean this up. I think it is a mental thing. He's clearly talented. We talked in the preseason and then the first couple of weeks that this team's not quite good enough to give things away. Speaking of giving things away, another special teams touchdown, right? We're not good enough most times to sustain mistakes like that. We're going to start playing some better teams as the schedule kind of evolves forward a little bit, and we've got to be a little cleaner. I expect Walker to make mistakes as a rookie, so that's not it. But I also expect him to start to clean these things up so we don't get these lost plays that, by the way, ended up in Geno taking a pretty severe hit. Can't have that. So the rookie takes the out. Let us get back to the last in. It's now quarter 3, very late in the quarter. We're talking like 20 seconds to go, right? 20 seconds to go. It's 12-9, and Seattle's got the ball at the Arizona 40. Now, remember about this. This is the drive right after the punt touchdown the Cardinals got. The only touchdown they got in the game. Seattle's defense allowed a field goal on the very first drive of the game, and that was it. And that should be celebrated. Now, this in, to me, what I loved about this week's 3 in 3 out was that it allowed me to talk about Geno. Because in games where we put up 48 or 32 and Geno is just bombing it downfield and looking so crisp, we're not going to really talk about Geno on 3 and 3 out because everybody else is talking about Geno. So I encourage you, if you have the ability, to go rewatch this Kenneth Walker touchdown drive, because while Walker was great, this drive was all about Geno doing some really, really special things in the most key moment. That's the piece. We just gave away a touchdown and got the ball back. The Cardinals have no right to be in this game, and yet they're in this game. This is where the fear factor starts coming in as Seahawks fans. We're like, oh man, we've seen this script before where we let crappy teams with like a Colt McCoy hang around, and lo and behold, we blow it in the fourth quarter. And then we're scratching our heads as the year goes on going, wow, that's when we really had to have. But Geno said not today. So on this particular play, Cardinals, they blitz both cornerbacks right away. But off the jump, both cornerbacks, both sides are coming at Geno, full steam ahead. Geno, it looks from like, from my couch, I'm sure from your couch, for rewatching this, it looks like Geno is about to take a bad sack. Maybe even a hit from behind, strip sack. Does not look good. Instead, Geno gets the ball out just in time to a man, D. Eskridge, dragging across the route there, who gets open. He catches it 8 yards deep. He goes forward for like another 6 yards. Huge chain mover. This is all Geno, man. Geno recognizes the blitz, stands tall. He knows he's going to take a hit, fires a strike. Now, hey, probably D. Eskridge's most significant game so far, dating all the way back to the first game against the Colts last year, right? D makes the play, makes the first down. Wonderful. And then Geno follows that up. The very next play, the Cardinals send Budda Baker on a safety blitz, just kind of around our left tackle, around Cross. And he's coming in free. And that's the play where Geno hits Metcalf on a little slant over the middle. It's Metcalf's first catch of the game. And that goes for like 17 yards. So within a span of like, 40 seconds from like, clock to clock, or a minute, whatever it might be, we get a huge first down by D. Eskridge for about 14, 15 yards, followed up by a huge first down from DK Metcalf for 17 yards on 2 back-to-back blitzes where Geno took a hit, Geno stood tall, and he delivered the perfect ball. And this is the biggest drive of the game. Remember, it results in Kenneth Walker doing the okey doke and getting around Murphy for the touchdown, which is a really cool touchdown. And that puts the game away. It's 19-9 at that point. And while it wasn't the smoothest fourth quarter after that, the defense played great and the Cardinals were shut out. So loving to give Geno this huge in. And we keep, people keep saying, well, we got to see Geno with the comeback drive. That's the last piece, that's the last crown jewel in the Thanos gauntlet there. We got to see Geno come back. I hear you. And with that, this is a couple of games now, the Detroit game and now this game versus the Cardinals, where Geno led a drive to put the game away when it mattered. We didn't punt it back. We put points on the board. In fact, we put 7 on the board in both those occasions, and we won the game because of a very, very timely Geno drive. One of the most coolest parts about this rewatch was live. I was like, okay, Geno's having a C+ day. And then you go rewatch it, and then you look at the moments in which Geno was the brightest that he was. And for me, that moves the needle. I'm not saying it's an A+ day. I'm not some Pollyanna. Geno had his most kind of average day, if you will. His average day was still a solid B-, maybe even a B. He moved the ball with his feet. He moved the chains. Later in that same drive, he hits Tyler Lockett for a beautiful little out pattern for another first down that sets us up close to the goal line, which becomes the Kenneth Walker show. So just want to give Geno the love. We don't do it too much in this show because we try to avoid quarterback talk because they are the stars of the NFL. But in this particular instance, man, Geno deserves that in. So let us celebrate it. Okay, so when we start with an in, means we've got to end with an out. Let's get to it real quick because we also got From the Flock coming right up. Now it's quarter 3, 4:36 to go with this particular out. It's 9-3 Seahawks, and we have the ball at the Arizona 8-yard line. It's like one of those things where we're looking to put the game away at this point, get 7 and not settle for 3. However, the Cardinals and specifically Marcus Golden had some different ideas. what I saw in this game was, and I'll just say the out real quickly, the out is going to go to Damian Lewis. Um, I don't understand PFF's grade on Damian Lewis. I don't get it. I'm not trying to be, I don't know D-Lou. Obviously, he was a budding right guard. We moved him to left guard. He seemingly hasn't been quite the same for a couple of years now since we moved him to left guard. PFF gave D-Lou something like the 80s or something like that, maybe the 70s, but like a good grade. He graded out well. I don't get it. I didn't see it. Like what I saw was not every single, but many of the stunts and the twists that the Cardinals were doing, he got beat. Like Cross is taking the guy that cuts across his face and attempting to pass off, the edge, in this case, the linebacker in the 3-4, passing off Marcus Golden, and D-Lou is just getting beat. He's getting beat over and over again. And then what it causes on that particular type of play, which is the point of it, you get, pressure right up the middle, right? Because obviously you're stunting or twisting and you're coming around and you're taking it back. The blitz, if you will, is coming back up the gut at that point through where the guard and center would be. D-Lou did not look good to me. He looked like he got beat several times on that particular play. I think it's just a nice example of it to use a wording correctly there. So keeping that last out fairly short because we got to get to from the flock. It is for D-Lou. I want to see them tighten that thing up and just, a sell into what will be now the second third of the year, if you will. And the Chargers, if you watch that Monday night game, they do a lot of this stuff, right? They're fast. They bring pressure. They bring it with stunts. They bring it with twists. They bring it with blitzes that are intended to get guards and centers miscommunicating and get pressure up the middle. From the second quarter on, it made Russ's life miserable, and Russ is not 25 years old any longer. He can't get out of most of those. Gino, we just talked about him. He's proven that he will find the guy dragging over the middle and be accurate even in the face of the blitz, but it's still not what Gino does best because it's not what most quarterbacks do best. It's hard. That's why you blitz a quarterback. Want to see D-Lou get better. He's going to wear that last out, but worry not, folks. If we're ending with it out, it means we started with it in, and that means we won the darn ball game, which we did 19-9. Okay, Brandon's on vacation. There is no right in brand in this week, so we don't get that. And what can I say? Besides, again, let the gentleman have his fun with his family. We do have to rotate over to the MVC, the most valuable cranny. And if you don't know me by now, if I haven't said the word trenches enough in this particular episode, the MVC, which again, the most valuable cranny, a very real, very physical trophy that we have printed and created, sometimes 3D printed, each and every single week. We send it off to the VMAC. It shows up in the locker rooms. You've probably seen it already on myriad interviews, whether in the locker room, it's usually really in a nice premier spot. They move it later next to the Lombardi and the whole thing already. It's coveted. It's coveted is what I can say about the MVC. But if you don't know me by now, well, get to know that I love me some trenches. And if Big Al Woods can't play in the game, but Big Brian Mone can play in the game and sled his guy back 7 to 8 yards and move a center like he is a piece of, metal and plastic, that is the MVC, people. Like Brian Mone gets it. We're going to ship it out to you at the VMAC. Be on the lookout for it, Brian. I think it's your first. And congrats, man. It's an honor. It's an honor to give it to you because the play was just that darn good. You are the MVC. Hey, Flock, that now brings us to our favorite section, which we affectionately call From the Flock. And this is when you chime in with your ins and outs. And I got to give credit where due. Like, folks have gotten so in tuned over the years that, you're not sending in the giant major moments. No, you are unearthing your own buttery nooks and crannies and sharing them out there, reminding folks, how do you share it? Well, the best ways are if you're actually a member of the Flock, right? Getintheflock.com, $3 a week, and you get an invite to the Discord, which is where we hang out game day all day. It's super fun. There's even a channel just for 3 and 3 out, so you can plop your ideas there, and this way I do not miss them. Or if you want to do 12 a month, that is the Seahawkers Pod Ring of Honor on Facebook. That's kind of where we're chatting all week long. So where Discord is definitely more game day, there's some weekly chat, but it's really more game day chat and focused on that because Discord's great for live commentary, right? Facebook, the whole weekly gathering all week long with some incredible 12s from literally across the globe. Gettingtheflock.com for any of those. And of course, if you're out on Twitter, you can hashtag it 3i30, tag me at Clinton Bond, tag at Seahawkers Pod. I typically will not miss those either. We put them all together and we bring you this lovely section that we call From the Flock. And we're going to start in the Ring of Honor this week on Facebook. And we got Mario Cristiani. What a fun, definitely soccer player name, right? Mario Cristiani. He says, WTF? So what the fudge happened to our special teams? Major out lately. Here I am waxing poetic that we don't hit the major things. You know what? Mario he's right. we obviously has to be cleaned up. So, all right, Chris Boucher, what I say, the funnest name to say in the Ring of Honor. He says, in Kobe, Peanut, Tillman, Bryant with the forced fumble on Kyler Murray and Tariq Woolen with the recovery. That's a duo. That is a duo. And the thing with Bryant is like, this is on purpose. Yeah. And the fact that he's like seemingly ambidextrous, like I remember Peanut Tillman, of course, and great player. I don't remember if he was as effective with his left hand as he is with his right hand, like whatever the dominant hand is there. But I see Bryant doing it with both hands. This particular one, Kyler's about to zoom by him and he just like left crosses this thing out, deadly accurate. And just, it's a skill. It is a skill that he clearly practices. So good stuff. All right, out to Twitter we go. We got Mike at MCG2587. He goes, in the defense as a whole, yes, even Cody Barton, stopping the drive with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter as an example. And he says, Walker shouldering the run game and Arizona leaving McCoy on the bench. Thank you. No Colt McCoy equal to W for our Hawks. Another W here from Bailey Liborn at Bailey Liborn out on Twitter. In Tariq having 4 in a row. This guy is a ball hawk. Agree. He's a Seahawk. He's a ball hawk. He's darn good. To go however many minutes we are in without talking about Tariq. That's why we have From the Flock. Dude's an absolute joy to watch. It's getting to the point where he's also doesn't seem to be getting the ball thrown his way. We'll see what happens. Again, back to the Chargers game. Really cool that we could watch a Monday night game and focus on the Chargers. Mike Williams doesn't get separation. He doesn't. He does. Like, he's everything that people accuse DK Metcalf of being, basically. He does not get separation, doesn't run crisp or interesting routes that I can see. He's great at the 50-50 ball. That's his thing. Keenan Allen's supposed to be back. Obviously, that's like us getting back Lockett, right? That literally that's like us getting back or us being without Tyler Lockett. Huge disadvantage. So they're getting Keenan Allen back next week. They say he wants to play next week. It'll be very interesting to see what happens there because Keenan is the exact opposite. Keenan is the Doug Baldwin mastermind of route running. He creates a lot of separation. So it'll be really interesting to see if he is back, what happens. But right now the Chargers looked a little dysfunctional. And again, credit to the Broncos. They do have a good defense. All right, Car. We're over to the Discord. In Gino's jump on that trick play. It's kick ass and so much fun to watch. That was pretty cool. That was a great play design. The direct snap to K9 to get him going early, and Gino sells it. And then we had also Mone can buy you happiness, who goes by Leo in the Discord as well. Same vibe because Gino's fake miss snap on the K9 first big run. He goes very much a reenactment of the Peyton Manning fail, the safety fail in the Super Bowl. So anytime we could talk about 43-8, we're going to talk about 43-8. All right. We also had Kev. How does he say it? In great. I just got to read it. Just read it. Kev in Great Glen. I thought it was like, Idna Gardner there. I should know a little better by now. Kev in Great Glen in the Discord. In Gino running a block for Walker. Yeah. Same play, right? Super cool. And then we used to love when Russ did this. So just, Russ would run and look like he has like the old school, like 1940s leather helmet on and just Gino looks a bit different out there, different type of stride, effective getting upfield, making the block. always effective. Josh Tahuman coming in Discord in red zone stop with AZ's first possession. Absolutely. In Kenneth, the Michigan Ranger Walker. I get like, Texas Walker. If y'all are Chuck Norris fans and of a certain age, you'll get that one. Grabbing the reins of the run game. Absolutely. And in Mone doing well on the D line, despite no Al Woods. Absolutely correct. All right. Back to more. Now we're going to go over to Maurice. Maurice says let's see, Mone bull rushing the center on that 2nd and 7 on AZ's third possession. We talked, that was Maurice. You and I were, not only is Maurice writes, that was the MVC for a reason. So Maurice, you nailed that one. Gene Bowe in the Discord, out. Tyler running into the goalpost, trying to catch an overthrown ball. Yeah, end of the second half. The frustrating part about that drive, and it was almost on the out ledger. Adam and I talked about it in the live reaction, live and uncatfished. That was directly after the game. Always fun. Yes, there was a bit of an overthrow, and yes, Tyler hits the kind of puffy pylon thing that holds the goalposts up. Not hard, but you'd like to see a more accurate strike there. The thing that kind of sets that up is Marquise Goodwin catches a great pass and goes down for like 20 yards down the sidelines a few plays before that, but doesn't get out of bounds. It was weird. Like, he's right there, and there's only 40 seconds to go in the half where, you want to preserve that time. We end up blowing like probably 12 seconds or so right there before the next play is off. So that was a bit frustrating because we ended up having longer shots to the end zone, and we took our shots, right? We took a shot to Tyler, took a shot to DK, then we had to kick a field goal and hit the tunnel. It was frustrating that the shots to the end zone were still, not too close. We didn't get a chance to pound the ball in with Walker, which would have been ideal. And if we preserved time a little bit better, we probably would have had just better shots at the end zone to try and end that half, which would have been cool. But that's all right. But Gene Bowe, I hear you. We don't want to see Tyler running into inanimate objects ever. Car back with the out. I don't think I heard DK's name in the first half. Well, DK had the first attempt of the game. That was not a great throw. There was a crosser later. I think that was second half. The one part about this, and obviously people are leaving these in real time, right? So this ledger kind of rolls off chronologically, especially if I'm sticking inside Discord, which I am right now. The nice part about DK, which I kind of circle back to Gino. Yeah, DK didn't have a good game stats wise when it mattered, and the last drive with the touchdown possession, and then the first down to ice it. DK showed up, moved the chain a couple times, which is really cool. All right, we got Frost in the Discord giving D a shot at kick returner and Dallas a shot at punt returner. We don't need Tyler back there anymore. Likely right. We've been saying this for a long, long time. Be super nice if looks like this was cool for D in a couple of ways. Number one, 3 receptions, moving the chain, big first downs. That's number one. Number two, he continues to be a pretty capable blocker out on the edges, which I love looking at that stuff. And number 3, probably the biggest thing, Pete says lots of stuff in his press conferences throughout the years, lots of stuff. And he's always optimistic and, always kind of giving players the benefit of the doubt. No, he's working his way in and he's working his way back, and we're going to open the playbook. And you don't know if it's true or not, but Pete's just trying to keep the right vibe in the clubhouse. And that's his number one job, by the way. That's his number one job as head coach. And with that, to see D get his chances back there, right? I'd like to see him on punt return too. Hey, they clearly trust DJ, and DJ did a good job, so all good there. But seeing the trust factor where D's out there for more snaps, he's getting the ball more. He's going to get some kick returns. Now, they were just, I think, touchbacks and stuff like that, but super cool to see, and super cool that Frost called it out. That's the kind of cranny I really enjoy. All right, we are on to Jamie Williams in the Discord in Kenneth Walker, a.k.a. the slippery salmon, slipping tackles and breaking ankles. Hey, I love alliteration. I love some rhymes. Jamie Williams nailed it. Okay, we are back. Now we're going to go to DK Metcalf Fan Club. Sorry, that's Decaf Metcalf Fan Club. It's a little play on words because as a member of the flock, Brandon and Adam sent out some some coffee from, I think it's his brother's or somebody, a family member's, coffee shop up there. And there was a DK Metcalf, half calf, et cetera, et cetera. Play on words back in the day. Good stuff. This is Lisa in Seattle for those who know her that way. She goes out, abandoning the run game at the end of the game. I hear you. I think the Cardinals did a pretty nice job. I mean, Walker had his Lisa and broke a lot of tackles. I didn't think we blocked the run particularly well. Like it wasn't like big gashing holes. It was like Walker making 6 yards out of what an ordinary back would lose a yard on or get 2 yards on, or Walker breaking through arm tackles and shoulder tackles. Good efforts, but not wrapping, and Walker just being like, nope, not going to have that. So I think it was more that Walker overperformed, and I think the stats show that, versus that we blocked really well and that we could be super confident to get those yards. Now there were some frustrating, back and forth in that fourth quarter, but again, when it mattered most, the drive to get Ken Walker in the end zone, and then later in the game, Geno just put the ball up to DK a couple times, and that's where he got a couple of key catches, and Lockett, of course. So definitely hear you, Lisa. I love running the ball. I think it was the run blocking was leaving Waldron, I think, quite concerned that they weren't going to get the efficacy out of it when they needed it. All right, back to Jimbo in. Seeing the defensive players celebrating after 2 good series in the fourth quarter, sacking and pressuring Kyler. Let's stop right there for a second. And I said at the top and a little bit of the preamble that, we weren't going to talk about, Pooooooona and Nwosu and Harris and Q-Jeff. They played really well, really, really well. Pooooooona, by far the best game of the year. And when they asked, Quentin Jefferson about this, the coaches just let us go at it. And again, what it meant is, by scheme, the actual way they schemed was not to play a traditional 3-4 mindset, which is to not be as aggressive off the ball and then react to what you're seeing, versus the more traditional Seahawks mindset of get upfield, go, use your speed to your advantage. Poona Ford, he's a bowling ball of a man, right? A little tuna can, strong one at that. But 6'4" with long levers, he ain't. But he's darn quick for a dude of his stature, a little bowling ball. He's like the Maurice Jones-Drew of defensive linemen. And I mean that in all the complimentary ways. So great call out, Jimbo. Love, love, love that we're talking more trench warfare here. All right, flocked in his prime. You guys know him as the mild-mannered Keith Ketover in. Jason Myers huffing, smelling salts again. Guess it worked this time. Yeah, I guess Jason picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue on the sidelines there. He was perfect. 4 for 4. Gotta love it. Boye's biceps in the Discord in. Gotta give some love to Eskridge for his busiest game of his career. Some good grabs there. And I love that term, busiest game of his career. That's super cool, right? You wouldn't normally classify an NFL, player's game as busy, but it was busy because he was involved, and he was involved in multiple facets, like we talked about earlier. So lovely call out by Boye's biceps. Right hand Dan always coming in with the good stuff in. Gino, overselling the direct snap is fantastic. Yeah, showing his ups. And then he says in, we'll say it every week, Shane's play calling. Absolutely. Real good stuff. And yes, we don't get 7 till late in the game. And yes, it's 4 field goals. You got to tip your hat a little bit to a nice Cardinals defense. And we moved the ball. We got the ball into the red zone 5 times. That's cool. It's not going to be every week that you're capitalizing on the red zone. Didn't crumble that way this week against other teams. It'll be stronger. So yeah, I like the play calling again. It was quite good. Totally agree. All right. So we are going to design Pete's Beach House. This is Amy in the Discord. She goes out. Special teams. Offense is solid. Defense trending up. Special teams needs to get their act together, protect Dixon, and make things happen. You are 1/3 of the team. The big thing here, and Amy is spot on, is, again, yes, is this team outperforming what most expected? Absolutely, right? Absolutely. do we have a shot at some wild card, or dare I say flirting with this division? Yeah. You know why? Because after 6 weeks, we're tied for first place, right? And yes, I know how tiebreakers work and yada yada yada. Our records are the same. We're 6 weeks in, so it's all good. To Amy's point, our special teams has been bad. Cost us some games, and then in this particular case, let the Cardinals back in a game they had no right being in. So got to clean it up. It's a huge part of why we were typically quite good. And also looking real quick to that Chargers Broncos game, that let's ride curse. The reason the Broncos lost that game last night, muff punt, a dude not knowing where he should be, the gunner taking advantage of that, pushing him right back into the punt returner. Punt is muffed, and the Chargers come out there and kick the game-winning field goal, and the Broncos are at 2-4, which right now, by the way, if you hit the pause button, Seattle would have the Broncos 7th and 39th pick in the 2023 draft if we stop the clock right now. That's not how time works. We got to march on. Michael Dixon's big balls in the Discord. In Tariq leading the league in takeaways with 4. In Kobe leading the league in forced fumbles with 4. In Nwosu, Jefferson, Harris, Ford, Neal, Taylor. 6 sacks, 6 different dudes. Now, by the way, I went this entire time. We haven't talked about Taylor. Another part of this scheme, and just letting dudes go do the stuff they're better at. Not reactive, but proactive wise. Man, the game we've been asking Taylor to go have, he has the strip sack, he has other rushes. Taylor looked like how Taylor looked last year, disruptive and a force. Really, really cool. All right. And then he also ends it within that big dick backspin. He's talking about Dixon's backspin on his punt. Yes. Dixon had the challenge on that touchdown, meaning you don't want him to fumble there, of course. But again, a little bit of a redemption arc. He puts that ball up like the 1 yard line. It's called back on that, that rule that we kind of all learned on the fly, that the guy's got to reestablish himself, although it hits blunt, but it's all good. It was a beautiful punt. And then later in the game, he also put one, he really boomed one when Seattle had a flip field position, and he boomed like a 60+ yarder, which was lovely. So, hey, gotta love us talking about our punt game. He also says, out. Adam needs to acknowledge that his take on Kobe was a straight dumpster fire and full of soiled diapers with, food and sriracha and wolf hair, and the dude is a stud. So Michael Dixon's big balls calling out Adam, saying that his take on Kobe Bryant was trash. I'm here for it. Adam, where you at? All right, we're going to close out with a couple more here. We got Hawk Van Dyke, and once again, congratulations on your move to the UK. That hat looks good on you, though. Don't just keep rocking it. He goes, wool in a divisional win. The punter from the outback. Very punny, very punny. Good job. John Ryan's face out. For the love of God, would Myers share his smelling salts with Dixon? His concentration seems off. So another smelling salts comments. Hey, those things work, pop it out there, get a little wake up call and go do your job. But again, I don't think that was on Dixon. Yes, don't fumble the ball in the end zone. I get that. But, then again, don't let a dude free reign into your kicker's grill. Maybe you want to block that guy. We are going to end this one back to Hawk Van Dyke getting the Chargers after a 6-day, they only got 6 days. They played Monday night. So getting the Chargers after a 6-day episode, win. Yes, I agree. That's Bloomy. He's all about the rest days. He gets it straight away. He looks into the math and the science behind all that, and a little bit of analytics dive. And he's a big believer that teams on less rest have a disadvantage. So, folks, we got to drive. Well, maybe a drive. I guess they'll probably fly. It's long enough, and they're professional athletes. But the Seahawks got to mosey down the coast to go from the Pacific Northwest. Not a bad little trot. Get down to LA. Lovely time of year. Very cool stadium in SoFi. Like, say what you want about the Rams or the Chargers or, Goodell, fixing the league so that these teams are good. Whatever. Say what you want with all about that. Give some love to that. That stadium looks amazing. So if there are some 12s that are heading out to the game in LA, have some fun. Watching that Broncos Chargers game, Flock. I there's not a lot of vertical game, which is weird, from Herbert out to his dudes. Now, again, Keenan Allen is going to be, if he plays and he's 100%, he's an absolute difference maker, one of the best, kind of most consistent studs over the last decade. Not just a possession receiver, but super clutch. He's their chain mover, and they're missing their chain mover right now. So we'll see if he comes back in time. With that, the Chargers looked a little broken. And yes, in the past, our defense has helped some of these quote unquote broken offenses look better, but not versus the Cardinals. The Cardinals came in and people still like, oh, they're high powered and all this stuff. Nope. And Marquise Brown's gonna tear it up, and nope. The Cardinals are gonna, Benjamin's skilled and he's gonna get it. Nope. Kyler Murray gets a couple of runs here and there, but mostly contained. And again, they don't allow an offensive touchdown. So as we go into the Chargers game, we got to be bullish, right? We got to be like, ooh, we're going to hear it all week that this team defensively, are they turning a corner? Have they turned this corner? Is it scheme? Is scheme the reason they're playing better? We shall see. I cannot wait for this game. Another 4:00 or so start on the West Coast. This is big, folks. Hey, at 3-3, we got a chance to go beat a Chargers team that I think is underperforming. They just squeak out that win versus what is a fairly okay Broncos team. They just get that win. It's an overtime game where they got to play extra and they only get 6 days rest. I like our chances. Love our chances. Love hanging out with all of y'all. Thanks for the opportunity to ride solo today. Brandon will be back next week. But again, Seahawkers podcast, youtube.com/Seahawkers podcast. Make sure you're subscribing. And just go get the audio and get it out there to other Hawks fans. We're doing 5 shows a week. The best part is you don't got to love every single show, right? In fact, we don't expect you to love every single show, but we got the gambling show. We got What If, the preview show. We got this, this unique recap show. Of course, we got the flagship, the reason we're all here in the first place, the Seahawkers podcast with Brandon and Adam. That's the best for a reason. We call it the flagship for a reason. And we even have the From the Podiums, which are these delightful ways of curating the best of the pressers, the press conferences, and putting them in a way that's actually consumable and light and easy for you to digest what the coaches and players are saying. So bringing all of that to y'all 5 times a week. And our ask is subscribe, share it. And if you're getting value from what we're doing, getintheflock.com, join the Discord, join the Facebook Ring of Honor. And with that, I think there's only one thing left to say. Go Hawks.